Hola! Let's go ahead and talk about how to stem change in the preterite tense. So, stem changing. Remember what that is? That's the boot. Remember these beautiful boots that I used to draw? Which basically means that if it's inside the boot when you conjugate it, then it stem changes. So here's an example. I have the verb pedir, which means to ask for or to request, and that's stem changing. So that basically means that inside of this boot, it's gonna stem change from pedir to pido, pides, pide, pedimos, because it's outside of the boot, and piden. But you already know how to do that. So let's talk about doing it in the past tense. My favorite thing about talking about how to stem change in the preterite tense is that we can talk about chorros, chorros, chorros. Okay, so when I'm deciding how to stem change in the preterite tense, there's two questions that I have to ask myself. One is it stem changing? Does it stem change in the present tense? And second, is it an IR verb? So in the present tense, as no matter what type of verb it is, AR, ER, or IR, I can stem change. But in the preterite tense, I can only stem change with IR verbs. Okay, once we answer yes to those questions, there's three things that we have to look at. One, the O in that stem just goes to you. So we've seen in the past that O can go to you or O can go to UE. In the preterite, it's only you. Another thing, E changes to I. So in present tense, we see that E goes to I or IE. And this time it only goes to I. Last but not least, we've got our chorros, which basically means that it only conjugates in the third person. Let's look at some examples of what I mean. I'm actually gonna go back to my original example of pedir, to ask for or to request, in order to do my stem change in the preterite tense. So I have to go back and look at my questions. Is it stem changing in the present tense? Yo pido. Yes, it does. Okay. Is it an IR verb? Yes, it is. Okay, so then I have to remember, the O goes to you. Well, there's no O in this. And E goes to I, but there is an E. So I know that it's just going to be I. Okay, and then I have to remember the chorro. So let's look at an example of me conjugating this. So I've got yo pedí, tú pediste, él pidió. So notice how this E changed to an I because it's inside this yummy churro. Remember, churro's just in that third person. Then we come back up to pedimos, pidieron. Again, it's third person, so it stays inside of the churro. So knowing that, I want you to try some examples on your own. Try the verb dormir. Remember the rules. Okay, so we have dormí, dormiste, durmió, okay, it's inside the churro. Dormimos, durmieron. Again, it's inside the churro. Let's do one more. Let's try preferir. We've got preferí, preferiste, prefirió, preferimos, prefirieron. Okay, so even though in the present tense I say yo prefiero, E to IE, remember in the past tense it is just E to I. Okay, so prefirio, prefirieron. So here's another list that has more stem changing in the preterite verb. If you want to go ahead and write all of these words down, know their meanings of that, you will see them again. They're very common stem changing verbs and they are definitely not limited to this. You do know the rules at this point. So here's a list of them. Go ahead and write them down, get familiar with them, maybe practice with them, and then we can practice them tomorrow in class. Okay, adios.